Because if you think about it, life has restrictions. I mean, just look at your life. There's speed limits on the highway everywhere you go. They are restrictive, aren't they? They say, oh, 65 and no faster, or 70 and no faster. But those restrictions save hundreds of thousands of lives a year, because some people have no concept of how fast they should be driving, or how slow, by the way. Life jackets on boats are restrictive. It's a restrictive thing. Do you know that there were people on the Titanic that didn't want to put their life jackets on because it would cover their beautiful dress? Let me tell you something. When you're drowning, the best piece of equipment you can wear is a life jacket. Now, life jackets are restrictive, but they have kept thousands of people from drowning. Seat belts are restrictive. You know, we don't like to fasten our seatbelt, but they have kept many people from flying through the front window of their car. And so you find restrictions everywhere. What about doses of medication? You know, they're restrictive. I mean, you can just go on thinking about things that are so-called restrictive. Or you can think of it like this. Experience has proven this is the best way to do things. And certainly if one can tell us how is the best way to do something, it is the Lord. Now, there are a lot of people that name the name of Christ who are a little bit weird. They have certain ideas about how they should dress, or, you know, what they should or shouldn't do, and really none of those things have to do with the Christian life. The Christian life is not how you dress, but who lives in your heart. I had a lady come to our church in Hawaii, and of course everybody dresses pretty casual in Hawaii when they go to church. You know, slippers and Bermuda shorts and an aloha shirt or something. And this lady went to a church down the street from us, and they told her, don't ever come back unless you wear a dress. And so she called up our church. No, actually she attended the church service. And she said, is that an issue with you, pastor, at this church, how you dress? And my answer was, what God cares about is that you're here, not how you look. Now, obviously, I know that, you know, there's appropriate dress in church. But the point is, God's more concerned about what's going on in here than what's going on out there. I had a young lady come to my church about 25 years ago. I don't know why. I think of all these old illustrations, but it's just pertinent today, you know. I never talk about my current church, you know, where I'm pastoring. I never talk about those people. But I can't wait to get to my next church so I can talk about you guys. That's a different story. This young lady came to church, and she had on, this is back when, some of you are old enough to remember this, these boots are made for walking with Nancy Sinatra. They had the high boots and then the really very short dress and all that. And when she walked in, I have to tell you that I was very tempted to say to her, you know, you're not dressed appropriately enough for church. But she was a friend of a young lady in the church who had invited her. And that morning in that service, she came forward and gave her heart to Christ and was born again into the family of God. We have to realize that you know, we've got to maintain balance. We've got to balance the love and grace of God with you know, how we live and how we act and how we talk. I remember when it used to be that nobody would go to a movie. Now, obviously, there are some movies we should not go to. That's a no-brainer. But back in the early days, movie itself was a sin. Now people sit home and watch all those same movies on Turner Classic, and it's okay. So it must have been the popcorn that was bad or something. Just sure. Restrictions are for our protection and to save our life. So if narrow-mindedness means that some Christians choose not to indulge in some of the excesses of the world, its addictions and enslaving practices, then those charges are true. In other words, there are some things that Christians don't do just because we know it's not God's will for our life. But let me ask a couple of important questions this morning. Is the so-called party crowd really happy? Are they really happy? Are they really enjoying life? I mean, I see so much hurt on the faces of people today that are not living for God. Is the party crowd really happy? Are they really free? Or are they simply just bound to an addiction or a compulsion? Are the drug users and the sexually deviant really satisfied with their life? Are any of these people really set free by their rebellions? You see, we seem to think that if we could just break free from certain restrictions, that I'd be happy. And yet a lot of times we get so-called break free, we find out that we kind of appreciated where we were. Breaking free from accountability never brings satisfaction to the joy and joy to the soul. If you don't think that's true, ask Adam and Eve. Psalm 1 puts it like this: God blesses those who do not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the company of mockers. But God's blessing is on those who delight in the law of the Lord, and they meditate on His law, on His word, night and day, or day and night. So, we have to be thinking about the fact that maybe Christianity really isn't restrictive. Maybe Christianity gives us guidelines by which we can be blessed as we walk with God daily. Excuse number 5, and this will be the last one today. I had a bad experience in church once, so I'm not going to go back anymore. I had a bad experience. I'm not surprised when I hear this, because Satan, the Bible's very clear that the local church is Satan's number one target in which to show division and strife. And so while no one should have a bad experience in church, the truth is you can have a bad experience what? Anywhere. Yeah. I went to the market not too long ago, and the people weren't friendly. They come up and shake my hand. Didn't come up and give me a hug and tell me they're glad I'm there. I didn't like the style of music that was played on the intercom. And I actually got some bad fruit there. Over in Hawaii, the fruit looks beautiful on the imported stuff, not the apple, bananas, and the papaya and all that. That's all fresh. But the stuff they bring in from the States, we went to a certain store one day and picked up these gorgeous looking nectarines. Peaches and nectarines are my favorite